All right, we're going to go back to the drawing board. So one of the things, this webinar is being recorded so that anybody can come back and listen to this and me share this information with you, as well as if you have questions tonight, we would appreciate if you could use the question and answer box. There's a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. Questions we'll take, I'll take a look at here towards the end of the presentation. There'll be an opportunity to do that, and I'll do my best to answer without all of everybody here. And one of the things with that is that I can also then, if they're listed and they are written out, then we can publish those too if there's questions that we feel like would be great for everybody to view. So once again, this is for incoming 6th graders this fall. My name is Christy Hilson. I'm one of the assistant principals here at Park Place. And I will also be the 6th grade administrator next year. Here at Park Place, we have a unique way of sticking with students, our Pumas, as they move up the grades, and we stick with them. So as an administrator, takes on the 6th grade year, then I will be the administrator for the 7th grade year or the 8th grade year. That really helps us get to know families and get to know you all as well as situations or things that are happening around. So here we go. All right, this is exciting because last year we did not get to do this. As you know, we went into shutdown right about this time last year. So a lot of what we'll share with you tonight is what we would hope that this fall will look like as we move forward. So at Park Place, our mission statement is to ensure students learns the academic, social, emotional, physical skills and knowledge required for them to access their future academic career and life opportunities. If you've had a student come through Park Place, you might have heard of the Puma Way. We define that as pride, excellence, and character. And those are also characteristics that we teach to, that we celebrate, and that we encourage as students here are with us. So this was going to be a little bit of our presenters list, our panelists tonight, and you just have me. So that's Mr. Cheshire. He is the 7th grade administrator and our principal. We have also Mr. Garrison as our assistant principal. He will be the 8th grade administrator next year. Ms. Lael Zimmerman is one of our counselors working with students, particularly with the last names of A through H, as well as our ELL students. And we have a new counselor this year. If that face doesn't look familiar to you, that's Ms. Fox. She's a counselor for our students I through Z. Mrs. Barr, who is one of our participants tonight and was going to be one of our presenters, is our office manager. The picture up there does show her with Miss Avalos and Miss Eriks. You might, if you're familiar with Park Place, you probably have encountered one, if not all 3 of them. Ms. Huber is our student support advocate who is here. We share her with Hidden River. And she's housed here at Park Place 2 days a week. And Mrs. Jackson is our parent liaison. Carlos Ayas, Mr. Ayas is our Hispanic liaison. And so those are just some key people to keep in mind that are here to support your families and your students. Staying involved, as you know, this year has looked a little different, but some of the ways that we have students have their families involved. If you're coming from an elementary school, then parent involvement, oftentimes your students will say things like, oh no, there's nothing here at middle school. And we do have opportunities and we hope to continue those next year. There's the Parent Hub that Ms. Jackson runs and organizes and conducts opportunities for parents to interact and learn. We also work to engage in principal chats, which happen during the day. We've had some of those in evenings, depending on what families and parents really need. In the past, we've done what are called neighborhood chats, and that's where we ask if there's a family who's willing to invite us administrators to come into your homes. And that's just so that you can gather some of your closest friends or neighbors and it just provides a different atmosphere and a way to connect with families in a different way. Of course, we also have watchdogs. This may sound familiar to you, which is a great opportunity to bring adults into the building. They spend the day here, they have lunch with their kids, they go to classrooms, they support students in that. So there's kind of a picture there of one of ours. All right. If you looked at or you heard anything about our mission statement, there are a lot of changes that happen in middle school. There's the physical, the social, and the academic changes are really great at a really wide span during these middle years. So there's a lot of developmental changes, as you probably are already aware of, that take place. Oftentimes you'll see a change in peer groups as students transfer from an elementary to a middle school and are introduced to new students. There's a different structure here, whereas you might have had one main teacher at elementary school. Here at middle school, we have between 5 to 6 different teachers. There's different kinds of activities that students can be involved in, both before and after school. And recently, we also were able to have and expand to sports to offer to wrestling to 6th grade, which is pretty exciting. So those are some of the biggest changes. The typical day, our bell schedule, if you will, our day starts at 7:50 a.m. So that is definitely earlier than elementary school, and it runs until 2:20 p.m. We are based on a 6-period day. This is just a sample. It's not necessarily your student or every student's schedule, but it kind of shows you the breakdown of the day. With our 6 periods where they would move from class to class, they range approximately 50 minutes, give or take a few, depending on the day of the week or the type of schedule that we're on. We do have, we've had in the past provided in our day a morning break, which is another opportunity for students to access breakfast or a snack, just kind of connect with their peers. Obviously, there's lunch where they have the opportunity to go outside. We use the word recess on there, but it definitely looks different than in elementary school. There's no big toy, but there are opportunities to play basketball, to walk the track. Oftentimes, we've had soccer going on out there, and just connect with their friends. The library, if you've been to Park Place, the library is truly a showcase here, and that is accessed by dozens of students on a normal day during lunchtime. We also have what's called Puma time. Again, if you're familiar with Park Place, you might have heard of this. This is a time approximately 20 to 25 minutes built into the school day for students to get extra academic support, either with the teacher they're assigned to or by choice. It's a time that kids sometimes can get just extra help. They can redo a test. Possibly an activity group might meet. And traditionally, we've held that from Monday through Thursday. Looks a little different this year with remote learning and even moving to hybrid. But that's certainly an important part that prior to COVID, we had attached to the 3rd period class of the day. So that's kind of a typical day. And so you can see all the different types of transitions and places that 6th graders would go. With that, so within those 6 periods, 6th graders they take 2 English language arts classes. They're usually separate. They might be with the same teacher, one really focusing on reading, one really focusing on writing. There's a math class that they take. There's science. They take physical education and social studies. That is a year-long class combined. PE is a half year, social studies is a half year. So they would take that opposite each other. There's the opportunity for electives. You might have already seen that option or that opportunity come from your 5th grade teacher, where essentially students can choose between band or choir. This is a year-long class, and that's the commitment that they sign up for. They might also they might qualify for a support class. We have here at Park Place Title Reading, which is a federally funded program to offer extra intervention support in reading skills, as well as Title Math class. And students qualify that through district or state assessments, and that's also just a pull-out designated class to really boost your students' skills in reading or math. There's also what we have called the Exploratory Wheel, or just sometimes just called the Wheel. That is where students rotate between 4 different subjects. And they are able to go between, traditionally we've had things like tech ed, we've had art, we've had family and consumer science, and for example, this year we had music appreciation. Mr. Cheshire, this is so great. I'm so glad you're joining me.
Yeah, I'm sorry you can't see me, and I'm sorry I'm late. I've had a trouble getting in.
No, it's not you, sir. We had, for some reason, our panelists aren't able to be panelists.
Okay.
It's just been me chatting.
Go ahead. I'll help where I can.
All right. Can you, hopefully you can see where we're at. We have a lot of ways in which we support our students' successes here. There's a whole lot of things there probably on your screen. But know that these are all the things that we look to achieve to support your students' success at Park Place. Our science labs are awesome to promote a lab-based science program, online supports through textbook. All of you have probably are now well acquainted with Canvas. It's a newer journey for all of us. If your student qualifies for HiCap, we cluster students together so that they have those learning opportunities. Family access, I can't say enough about. If you do not have a family access account for Skyward, you'll be hearing lots and lots about that in the next few months. We also really focus on organizational skills. We seek ways to keep you as parents and families involved. Our Puma Time is a great support. We have fall conferences, curriculum night in the fall, 2 full-time counselors, and we also have the part-time student success advocate that I mentioned earlier. All right, Mrs. Barr, I don't think can speak because she's out. She's not out. She's here. She's just a participant and cannot speak to our items. So all of the things that
Ms. Hilson, can you hear me?
Mrs. Barr, this is like Christmas. Hi, yes, this is great.
Hey. Hi, well, I'm here, yay.
Okay, I'm just gonna mute myself, then I'm gonna let you just chat away.
Okay, welcome everybody. I'm Mrs. Barr, the office manager here, and I'm gonna talk a little bit here about some of the things that you can expect from our office and our office staff. There's things like online payments. This is really exciting for us at Park Place. Just last year, we were able to have some online payments available. Again, like Ms. Hilson said, this is available through Family Access. And as we get going, you'll be able to pay course fees, ASB activity fees. If you purchase a PE uniform, those can be paid online. And then we do have the traditional with cash and check. And we can, as we go through that, we'll have more information. Lunch counts also is available online, and the same lunch code all through school. So whatever lunch code your children are using now in elementary, they will continue to use all the way through high school, including middle school. The course fees, we're not entirely sure what that'll look like next year. In the past, it's been for art classes, tech ed type classes, and like a home economics type class. And those are things that students will either make and take home, or if it's a foods or nutrition class, they'll make something, and that's what the course fees are used for. ASB fees, if your students are involved in any of the before school or after school activities, there's an ASB fee involved with that. ASB provides a lot of the materials for those activities, and that's what the fee is supporting. Just some miscellaneous information also is student pickup and drop off. We do have a process for that. If by chance your student is late to school, there is, we require that parents come in and sign them in, and we have a form for that. And the reverse is true if you're picking them up early. We'd like to make sure that we know who's picking up your student, and so you'll come to the main office and have some ID, and we'll sign out your student. Transportation is also currently through family access. That might be looking a little different as we move forward. And again, we'll communicate that. But traditionally, you can look up your bus stops, bus times, pickup times, and drop-off times on there. So that's important to look at. If your kiddo wants to ride home with a friend, or maybe go to grandma's house that happens to be in our route, you would want to make sure you have a bus note. That comes in with your student. They give us a note, and then we write them a bus pass that they then hand to the driver. We also have a hotline for that. When you call the main line, that's one of the options to leave bus notes on. Attendance, same type of thing as what you're used to in elementary. You can mark your students' attendance via family access, or you can use our attendance hotline. And when you call the main phone number, there's an option for the attendance hotline. And you're going to want to make sure you do that within 24 hours. Traditionally, we've had an automatic reminder call that, hey, your kiddo missed one or more periods in the day. And that's just a reminder to say, hey, let us know, and we can get that absence excused. And then immunizations is also another very important thing for sixth graders. There's sixth grade requirements for those, and I know that you've been getting information on that. So as soon as you have your immunizations, make sure you let either your elementary school know now, or for sure by fall, let us know that, so we can update records and make sure your student can start on time. I know I'm talking fast, and it's a lot of information. A lot of the stuff is different from elementary, but what I want you guys to know is our office staff is wonderful. They're friendly, and they'll help you walk through whatever questions you have. And I really hope that next year that we get to see families. That's one of the pieces that we've been missing. So, and a lot of the stuff I talked about is what we've done traditionally in the past. So hopefully we'll head towards that direction soon. So anyway, welcome, and back to you, Christy.
All righty, thank you, Mrs. Barr. Okay. Next piece is just to kind of share some of the activities and before and after school that we've been able to offer in the past. Things such as dance cats. We've even had weightlifting activity by Boeing Science Alliance. I had to come up with the right words. And it all really is kind of dependent upon having an adult here at school that's willing to lead that activity. They can be anywhere from 1 or 2 days a week. We have study clubs that people will run before school and after school. We've also had a jazz band in the past. We've also had coding, yearbook, run club, excuse me. Improv is actually running now even during online. We are hoping to get back to being able to host some school socials. We try to do those a couple, 3 times a year, which run about an hour or so after school. And then, as I mentioned before, we do have wrestling, which occurs in the 3rd sports season of the school year for both boys and girls at the 6th grade level. All the other sports based on WIA requirements are not offered until 7th grade. One of the things that we have here at Park Place is what we call an opportunity to welcome 6th graders before other grades come to school. We have WEB, which stands for Where Everyone Belongs. And what the great thing about WEB is that not only is it an awesome support for incoming 6th graders in a traditional sense, it is also a leadership program for our 8th graders. So during the summer, we work with 8th graders to set them up to successfully have a group on that first opportunity for 6th graders to come into the building. They lead those activities, they get to know 6th graders, and we are really, really hoping that we'll get to do that this fall. The sixth grade orientation day is a full day for sixth graders. This year, the plan is to have that be on September 7th, which is a Tuesday. And the first day of school for all students then would be Wednesday, September 8th. We do ongoing activities throughout the year where the web leaders plan those as opportunities to connect with just sixth graders. So it's a pretty cool deal. These are just a couple of pictures from events that web leaders have hosted, planned, etc. throughout the year. Mr. Cheshire, if you're still here, this is you, sir.
Well, good evening to everybody, and I'm glad you're here. We are in the middle of the registration process, and hopefully the fifth grade teachers have shown a PowerPoint and a video to your fifth graders. Our projected school size next year at Park Place will be pushing around 900 is what we anticipate. This year, pre-COVID, before we went to lockdown, we were estimating 909 students. Hidden River is a much smaller school. It is only 400 students and a lot more capacity there than what we currently have. There is a transfer process that you can go through if you're considering having your student transfer. We anticipate, or I anticipate, students from Park Place will be allowed to transfer to Hidden River, but I do not anticipate Hidden River students be allowed to transfer to Park Place because purely based on our size. Your attendance area is based on your address and boundaries. For the most part, Frylands and Maltby students go to Hidden River. However, we do have some Fryland students that come to Park Place also. But the forms are available, and if you contact the main office, they're more than happy to help you get those forms. And it's called an intra-district transfer form that you'll want to work with. The weeks of March 15th to the 22nd, like I've already said, is where the elementary teachers were presenting the information virtually. And then there'll be a Google survey sent out to parents. And what the parents will be choosing, help working with their student to choose, is their elective choice. And we have band and choir, or the other option is Exploratory Wheel. And that's where students rotate through 4 different opportunities, and that changes every year, but usually there's some kind of a technology, some kind of art, some kind of music option, and sometimes we have a food nutrition option for it. And the students just rotate through those 4 stations and get experience of a variety of elective opportunities that we'll be able to consider. What we do talk to parents and students about on band, if your child is thinking about joining band, they need to start in the 6th grade. The fundamentals are hit really strongly in the 6th grade for band, and it's difficult and it's really hard for 7th graders to come in and stay with the 7th graders or other 8th graders. So they would have to be in a 6th grade band till they got the skills, and that's not always a high option for many of our students. So if your son or daughter is considering band, I would strongly encourage you to enroll them or register them in band in the 6th grade year. We are asking that the Google form be returned by April 1st, and that would include transfer forms if that's something you're considering to do. Okay, Ms. Hilson. Schedule change policy. This is something that comes up every year, and I hate black and white rules, but this one is really important to us. Currently, our classes are full. We run our classes somewhere in the 30s, low 30s on it. We don't have a lot of options to move kids around. We cannot overload classes for students, especially in COVID right now. And then hopefully those restrictions are lifted by next fall. But currently, the students returning to hybrid this year, we have a limit of 16 kids per class. So overall, we can't have more than 32 kids in a class if we're running the hybrid schedule where half the students come one day and the other half have the other day. We do everything possible to try to get kids in the classes that are appropriate for them. But what we can't do is pick teachers, and we can't base the schedule on being with friends during lunch. So the policy is if it's not a correct class, we look at the schedule change. The schedules are not selected from the original course selection sheet. That's another option. And the only time we can make a move if space allows on it. So I'm really sorry on that, but when you sit down with your student, you need to make sure really that the classes that you're selecting are the classes your student really will want to be in. We've had students every year come in and they thought they were going to be in a choir or band class, got into the class and go, it's not right for me. But unfortunately, we couldn't move them out because our wheel classes were so full. So that course selection form you're going over is going to be extremely important. And we want you to make sure you sit down with your child and make sure it's the right one for it. Thanks, Ms. Silson. These are just kind of some views of Park Place. The one on the top right is we have 6 pods that are in our school. A pod consists of 4 classrooms and a conference room. There's generally a math class, a language arts, social studies class, and a science class in it. And that open area that you're seeing there is an option for teachers to work with large groups of kids out in there. On the left-hand side, that is our central stairs. It's on the south side of the building. It's looking back towards our old library. That's one of the 3 stairwells we have to move students from the 2nd story down to the 1st floor at Park Place. Ms. Hills is going to play a video for you. What you're currently looking at, the sound's not working, is Puma is showing you the office area. That is the health room. Just down the hallway is our commons. This is where our students will be having their lunches. This is the view of the commons from the 2nd story, looking down into the commons. Our stage is there on the right-hand side. We anticipate that we will be running possibly 3 lunches next year, depending upon the size. Puma is now heading down into the upper portion of our building, and Puma's walking in. We'll be showing you the classrooms. On the left is one of the classrooms. We have 2 on the back wall and generally a science room. Each of our pods is set up with the touch screens, and we're getting a little dizzy here, Puma. And then Puma's walking you into a science classroom. The science classrooms are set up a little bit different for us, obviously, with the lab tables and the lab stations for kids. A typical classroom at Park Place looks like this. And this is one of the nicest places we have at Park Place. It's our library. When you're driving down Main Street, it's on the top floor at the far west end of the building. And it's a nice, comfortable place for students to sit down and read and enjoy themselves. This is our gym. If you've been at Park Place before, the walls are the same, but the interior of the gym is totally different. And then we have a covered play area. This is outside the gym. It's a courtyard going out to our athletic fields. We have a saying at Park Place, the Puma Way, and we call it pride, excellence, and character. And we try to make sure our students really understand they're important and we want them to be there. This is one of the graphics we use for our Puma Pride. And this is the center court on our new gym floor.
All righty.
This is the aerial view. When we were under construction, we had a plane coming over once a month to give a view on it. And on the far right, you're seeing our softball fields there that are there. And in the center back portion is the football field and track. Something that's important to note on that is the end zone graphics and the 50-yard line graphics were purchased by our ASB students. When we were in the construction project, they wanted to have some input or a fingerprint onto the facility, and they purchased the Pumas in the end zone and the graphic in the center. That track is a full-size track. It is the same as a Monroe High School. The only difference is we don't have the seating capacity to run a track meet there at Park Place. But if your son or daughter is interested in track, they're having a fully developed track for them to practice on and get used to. Track is probably one of the largest, it is the largest athletic program we have at Park Place. I believe we ran nearly 200 students last year were in our program, and all very successful and get great experience for it. At this time, we're going to be taking some questions, and Ms. Hilson, are you going to read them off?
Yeah, I've got a couple here, Mr. Cheshire, already. Joanna, Joanna, if you're still here in the meeting, you have a couple of specific questions to your student. So what I would ask is if you could call our main office and talk with either whatever counselor would fit for the last name. Miss Fox is the counselor for the second half of the alphabet. Miss Lael Zimmerman's the first half, because then they should be able to help you with some of your specific needs. Hopefully that kind of helps you with that. We have asked somebody asking how kids, Mr. Cheshire, get into the high classes. I'm wondering if that means the high cap classes or accelerated classes. I'm not 100% sure on that question, but that is one of them.
Normally in the elementary school, students are identified. Sometimes parents self-select, sometimes teacher selects and identify students that should be tested for the high cap program. That testing is available. It's usually done in the spring sometime, and those students qualify for us are pushed forward. And they're notified us, and we try to cluster those students in classes. The great thing about what is switched with the high cap program in the middle schools is all students have the option to select in. If they're in a class where the high cap teacher is, it is open to them. There's assignments and lessons and projects that are different levels, and a student can self-select to go in and say, I want to try this at the high cap level. So that is an advantage, but the truly high cap students were identified in the 5th grade year, and there should have been some kind of testing. If you have questions about that, I would encourage you to call your elementary school's counselor and ask more about that.
Another question just asks specifically about registration, and I can just take those, Mr. Cheshire.
Please.
One of them asks about registration. When does it start for next year? Registration has started. So if you are in our attendance area, you are automatically rolled into what's called our identity. You're rolled up into Park Place. What we've been asking for from your 3rd or 5th grade teachers is for you to identify or request your preference for one of the 3 elective choices that we talked about, which is band, choir, or exploratory wheel. We just ask people to give us their preferences on it. It lets us know kind of how many people are requesting those courses. Along with that, please remember also that if students qualify though for those title services or ELL services, those do become their electives. So somebody did ask in the questions about they just live down, just a little bit away. Are they automatically registered? If you are in our entity, if you are a Park Place person, then yes, you're automatically rolled up into that. If you have questions about whether or not you live in the Park Place entity or the Park Place area, I believe there is a map online, or I know that Miss Ruby here at Park Place is really good at pulling that up and identifying that for you.
Christy, can I add to that?
Sure.
When you're saying register, I assume slated to go to Park Place, that's automatic, but you still need to register for the elective class that you want. That is not automatic.
Correct.
If for some reason we do not get an elective choice, the student will be placed in the wheel class. So you do want to make sure you fill out that Google form and register for the elective of your student's choice. Thank you, Christy.
Yeah. One of the questions is about a fitness or weightlifting class for 6th graders. There's not a class for weightlifting or fitness, but we have had that as an opportunity for an after-school club. And so starting in the fall, when those opportunities are there, they'll be advertised through our weekly newsletter. They'll be advertised from the teachers. And so it would be a club or an after-school activity for that. So a couple of questions. If you have questions about your students' particular needs, because there are several of them in the questions, please reach out to our counselors. That they would be able to know that for sure. We are just now getting requests. And so we have asked for those requests for those electives, like Mr. Cheshire said, to come in by April 1st. So if you haven't heard anything yet from your teacher, please reach out to your 5th grade teacher. You can reach out to us. It's after spring break that we'll start actually taking a look at the numbers and where they are. And so that's why we're hosting this webinar tonight, because you still have another week or so to be able to access that to let us know. Mr. Cheshire, there's a question here about transfer paper and how will they know if it's approved?
The district office, once it gets the transfers in, they will send out a letter letting you know if your transfer request has been approved. It is more than likely you will be approved if you're transferring from Park Place to Hidden River. Again, if the transfer is coming from Hidden River to Park Place, it's not guaranteed, and that's more unlikely than it is likely to occur.
There are lots of questions about the Google form. Your 5th grade teacher should be sharing that Google form with you. So if you haven't seen the Google form, please reach out to your 5th grade teacher, because that's how we're collecting the information, is by 5th grade teacher, so that we can kind of check that off and know that that's happened. So again, please, the Google form, there's like 4 different questions about that in the questions. Please reach out to your 5th grade teacher. There's a question about guitar and if that's part of the band class. Guitar isn't necessarily part of the band class, though we've had students use the guitar in playing for our jazz band. And also Mr. Doomshin in the past has been taught part of the wheel with ukulele. I know that he's interested, if he doesn't teach the wheel, to have ukulele as an activity before or after school. Mr. Cheshire, unless you have any more information on that.
I do not.
Okay, all righty. One of the questions is, when should we sign up with transportation? That's a good question.
That's good. Oh, no. Yeah, that's a great question. Right now, we're really focusing in on trying to kids bring in for the COVID, for the hybrid, learning. I would assume sometime in the maybe late June, early summertime. I don't have that information, to be honest with you. That's probably something we can call transportation, have the question or get the information for you. And if you want to give Ms. Hilson or I a call tomorrow, sometime late morning, hopefully we'll be able to talk transportation by that time and have that exact answer. But at this point, I'm only guessing, so it's better not to say anything.
Yeah. All righty. Yes, so there is a question about if you left the Monroe School District this year to homeschool or enroll with another school outside of the Monroe School District, and you are a Park Place student, you do need to re-enroll with Park Place. So again, if you unenrolled from the Monroe School District to either homeschool or attend a school outside of the Monroe School District, you do need to re-enroll and fill out, just kind of go through all that process again. So even if you went to Chain Lake or you went to Frank Wagner, you need to re-enroll because you are no longer part of our computer system that lets us know that you're coming back. And you can contact Trina Eriks in our main office about that if you anticipate that you're going to be coming back this fall. The $1 million question, Mr. Cheshire, is if we expect to have a full return to school next year.
That's a great question. I am hopeful. It really depends upon the COVID rates, I believe, in our state. And if those COVID rates continue to drop, I would anticipate we would be coming back full. If the COVID rates plateau like they currently are or have a surge, I would think the hybrid is probably the more likely scenario on it. But I'm keeping my fingers crossed that the infection rates drop, and with more people getting vaccinated, that we see that continue to drop at a rapid rate. And then I'm hopeful that we'll return to full in-person learning. But at this point, it really is up to in the air, and it depends upon the COVID rates in our communities.
All righty, there's a question about the type of immunization that's needed, and I don't have that answer either. I don't know, remember the specific immunization that's required for 6th grade. I know our nurses do, and I know doctors do, but I don't have that. I don't remember.
It's similar to what would be at the elementary levels. It's just the normal childhood vaccinations on it. They are not requiring students to get COVID vaccinations, if that's the question. But the typical vaccinations that a child would have coming through the system is what they'd be looking at.
There is a question about how would I know if our student would get help, would be qualified for the reading class or ELL. If they qualify for title services in reading or math, we work to get a letter out to you sometime usually in the beginning of June, I believe, so that you know that that's, we wait till we have more information to make that call. So,
Ms. Hilson, there's a lot of questions about where to access the Google form. Did
yes.
you mention that?
Yes, they need to talk to their 5th grade teacher.
Got it.
Don't call your 5th grade teacher. I do know there's a couple people that are attending Maltby. You still, your Maltby teachers have the same form. What you would do is you would indicate on there that you are a Park Place student. You live within Park Place attendance area. And I believe there's a way to do that. If you feel like that's not getting what you need, and you know that your student will be attending here and they are one of our students, just reach out to Trina Eriks in our main office, and she can help make sure that we track down your form from your teacher at Maltby. A question about REACH, Mr. Cheshire.
REACH is a program we started about 4 years ago at Park Place, and it basically is students being assigned to 4 Common Core teachers, and those students travel in cohorts to those 4 teachers. Our plan this year was to move to school-wide REACH. COVID obviously changed those plans. I anticipate that we will move towards school-wide REACH next year. It's just having the ability to make sure our teachers receive all the training that we have, and that we get the registration process controlled to the point where we can register the kids in the right way. So the long answer is I'm hopeful that it'll be school-wide, but at this point, there's still questions out there as to the process for it. So I'm hopeful.
There's a question about Sky Valley Education Center and if a student attends there. While they're part of the Monroe School District, they are a different program within that. So you would need to put in intra-district transfer paperwork, I believe, Mr. Cheshire, unless I change that.
Yep.
Yeah. There's a question about Spanish options for the Frank Wagner dual language program students.
You know, the dual language was something we tried to implement 2-3 years ago. And we ran the program for 2 years, but our numbers of students, once they got to middle school that stayed with the program, decreased to the point where our classes we couldn't support the classes. So at this point, there is not a dual language 6th grade option. The students, when they move to the 8th grade, will have the Spanish option there. But at this point, there is not a dual language option for 6th or 7th graders.
Great question about what if you feel like your student is way behind because of this last year, and what is our plan to address that?
That we are looking at, but nothing. I'm going to give you what I anticipate is going to happen. We are looking at using some of the funds we're getting from the federal government to run summer programs for students. That has been discussed. There has not been detailed discussions about that. It's just been something that's been mentioned. I think once the middle schools and high schools get their students into the hybrid learning program, we'll have more time to talk about that. But at this point, I'm hopeful that there'll be some kind of summer support programs to help kids catch back up. If that does occur, that will be a option. The other option is next fall, our teachers will be looking very closely at assessing kids where they are compared to the 6th grade standards. And then we will start identifying students that maybe are significantly behind in the standards that we think they should have mastered. And then we'll start creating programs to support them. We're fortunate at Park Place, we have a program called Puma Time. And that's where students have the opportunity to get extra support during the school day. We usually run that program 30 to 40 minutes, and students can access teachers that they need help with. That is an option. We also currently, in the past when we weren't in COVID, we ran before school and after school tutorial programs. I anticipate we'll plan to continue to do that. And like Ms. Hilson mentioned, if a student really has been recognized as being significantly behind in reading and math, there are the title programs that we have available. So I anticipate there'll be some programs being developed in the near future.
There is a question about where to send the information once immunizations are done. If you complete your immunizations before the end of this school year, please submit that to your health room at your current school, because then your records will come here to Park Place and we'll have them here. And they'll be all together then with the student. If the immunizations occur over the summer, just get them to school. When we start our office is open and things like that, you can start having those be delivered here to the office to our health room. But if it does happen between now and June 21st, you should give that to your elementary nurse. So, and maybe clarify with them, or maybe they want you to hold on to it, but I don't want to see anything get lost between the transfer of files and such forth. There's a question about transferring from the Sultan School District and if they should still fill out a registration form.
Yes, they should. And again, you'd want to fill out the inter-district transfer form. That would be submitted to the district office. And again, that's going to be on a case-by-case basis, depending upon our enrollment, whether they will be taking students from outside the district. Clearly, we're required to take students that live within the Park Place boundaries, but it is something that is reviewed as based on the enrollment, whether we're taking students from outside the Monroe School District. But I'd still fill out the form and make sure you complete the inter-district transfer form.
There's also the question about if a family is enrolled in MVLA, but they're a Park Place family, we're automatically enrolled and we won't need to register. That's the last information I had, I believe.
And again, the registration question is the student becomes a Park Place student at the end of this school year, but you still need to register for the elective classes that you want your student to take. So when we use the term register, I want to make sure they still need to know to fill out the elective choice.
Mrs. Barr is still here, and I don't know, Mrs. Barr, if you're able to talk, that would be great. But I did type to your question so that you can answer if you can't speak out loud. Oh, there you are, yay.
Yeah, I'm here. So one of the things I should have mentioned that's extremely important to sign up for Family Access is that's how you'll know what your child's schedule is in the fall. We don't send out letters individually to families about schedules. They're posted online via Family Access. So that's another important piece that I didn't think to mention. And then what was my second question on there, Ms. Hilson? Family Access. And I forgot my next one. So if you have it there, Ms. Hilson, let me know.
Yeah, I'm trying to, look, newsletter, our exciting newsletter.
Yes, yes. A lot of the questions you guys are asking about immunizations and transfer forms, we're putting that information in our newsletter as well. So you guys might want to start peeking ahead on our district website under schools. hit Park Place, and you can see our Puma prints there, and that's done weekly. And you can start seeing some of the information that we're putting out, and it will have the information about the immunizations in there as well.
Ms. Hilson, we have a question about a medical condition. If you have a student that has a medical condition, I would encourage you to call the Park Place main office and ask to speak to the nurse, Pamela Havonen, it's her name, excuse me. But the best way to make sure that the medical condition is addressed appropriately is to talk to our school nurse. And please call into the main office. Ms. Barr, what days is Pamela in the building?
She comes to our building every afternoon. We share her with Frank Wagner. So if there's Frank Wagner's folks out there, you're familiar with her. So she comes every afternoon.
Thank you.
All righty, I think we're getting down there. Students currently at Frylands, but they're zoned for Park Place. Do I need to make sure anything that she transfers to Park Place and not Hidden River? That's a great question. What I would maybe do is have reach out to one of our counselors, depending on the last name of your student, just to make sure that they are, or you can touch base with Trina Eriks in our office. Trina can let you know if they are coded for our entity next year, just to verify. That's how it's supposed to work, but it's always nice to double check so that there's not surprises down the road. So if you have family access for elementary school, that is the same for Park Place. Awesome, you're already one step ahead of the game. So,
Ms. Hilson, we have a question about the student didn't have a 5th grade teacher last year. Now, how do we access the Google form?
yeah, so what they will need to do is I would have them reach out to, it looks like the last name starts with a P, so reach out to Miss Fox and they can help with that to make sure that everything is good to go for them if they don't have a 5th grade teacher, like they were homeschooled or possibly doing a combination of thereof.
And then there's a family access question. Is it the same? Will they have to change their access from elementary school to Park Place?
Yep, it's the same. Mrs. Barr, if you're still here, is the boundary map is on the Monroe School District website, right?
Yes, yeah, under, I'm not sure exactly where it is, but it is on the main district website. You can type in your address and it'll have a little pin and it'll show you where it is.
Yes.
So you should be able to access that. If not, any of the school offices can look it up, or our transportation department's happy to look it up as well.
Alrighty.
I think we're getting pretty close there.
Yeah, I think so. You guys have kept us hopping tonight. We really appreciate all your, oh, there's a, somebody put that in the, I'm gonna respond to the person because then everybody can see, hopefully there's a link there. Look at that. I love it when our parents are on top of stuff. It's awesome.
As we wrap up the evening, I want to say thank you very much for, it's not the way we typically do our 6th grade parent orientation night. We really appreciate your flexibility and being willing to attend and listen to us tonight. I want you to know that Park Place is a great school. As a 5th grade parent, you could be nervous. What is it going to be like sending my child to a middle school? Your child will do great. The first few days, it'll be difficult for them because where do I sit in the lunchroom? How do I find my classes? Typical things you should anticipate, but I will almost guarantee you within that first week, your child will come home, say it's gone great. I feel good, got their friends, they know where to sit in the cafeteria, and it'll move well. If at any time you have concerns that the transition isn't going well, please don't sit on that. Call the main office, talk to the counselor, talk to an administrator. We really appreciate it when parents reach out to us and ask questions. We're more than happy to help, but we find too often a parent doesn't want to bother us, and it is not a bother. That is our job, is to respond and answer questions and try to help problem solve, and making sure that transition from fifth grade to sixth grade is a smooth transition. So please, questions, concerns, you go, what are you guys doing up there? Call us, ask us the question, give us the opportunity to respond for it. I want to thank you very much for your time and your attention. Ms. Hilson, you want to wrap up?
Yeah, well, thank you guys for being here. Since you didn't get to hear Mr. Garrison or see him, we'll make sure that he runs the entire next sixth grade orientation. So the next time you guys are in the building, so you guys get a chance to hear from him as well. So we apologize for the technical difficulties in getting started. It seems to be the way that seems what we kind of do every meeting, maybe one of these days. So we look forward to welcoming you to Park Place and welcoming your student to the Puma family. So have a good night. Thank you for joining us.